right, I'm just going to go ahead and start. Today we are going to be learning the basics of factoring. We're going to start from the beginning. I'm going to explain to you what we're actually doing, and I will attach the worksheet. What I'm going to start with is not on the worksheet. I just want you to kind of pay attention to what factoring is first. Ready? All right, phones are away. I need to, after I finish this, remind me to do attendance again because a couple people showed up. So, do you remember when you had two binomials and you were asked to multiply the two binomials? You have to multiply every term in this binomial by every term in this binomial. So you would do x times x, x times 3, 2 times x, plus 2 times 3. Does this look familiar? And then you would combine these like terms and you'd have x squared plus 5x plus 6, okay? Factoring is working backwards from here. So you're gonna be given this trinomial and you're gonna be asked to factor it. So you're gonna be starting here. You won't have that. We know that's the answer. You will start here, you'll put your parentheses, you'll put your x's in, and then you have to figure out if this is going to be plus, plus, minus, minus, or plus, minus, and what these two numbers will be. And these two numbers, when you multiply them, you get this last number here, 6. But when you add them, you get 5. See, we know that 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So that's where you kind of have to work backwards. So you have to know your multiplication, your times tables, and that's probably the most important thing for these types of problems, knowing how to work backwards. So the signs. This problem is a plus plus. The reason it's a plus plus is because this is a positive 6. That means that these two signs either have to both be positive or both be negative, because a positive times a positive is a positive, and also a negative times a negative is a positive. So it's one of the two. They can't be opposite signs, because if they were opposite signs, one positive and one negative, then that would be a negative 6. It wouldn't be a positive 6. So we know it's either positive or negative. The reason why I know that they're both plus is because of this 5x. When we multiply, that doesn't work there. Okay. When we multiply the two numbers, we get 6, but when we add them, we get a positive 5. So we know they have to both be plus. So let's put the plus. Now, the options. At this point, and we already know what the answer is, the numbers are either 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. Because 1 times 6 is 6 and 2 times 3 is 6. Now, we know it's 2 and 3 because 2 plus 3 is 5, and we need the 5. If that was a 7x, then we would use 1 and 6. Okay? And it doesn't matter. Up here, I put the 2 first. If I put the 3 first, down here, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. Because these are numbers that you're multiplying. And if you have two numbers that you're multiplying, 5 times 7 is the same as 7 times 5. It doesn't matter. So that's what we're doing, okay? So that's what a plus plus looks like. Let's try minus minus now. So we get x squared minus 4x minus 2x plus 8. Because a negative times a negative makes positive. Now I add these two terms. These are like terms. And so when we're working backwards, we're given this, and we have to get to this. We put our parentheses, we put our x's, and we know this has to be minus minus because this is a positive 8. So it's either plus plus or minus minus. And we know it's minus minus because when we add the two numbers, we have to get a negative 6. So options for 8 are 1 and 8, 2 and 4, and that's it. Right? We know it's not 1 and 8 because negative 1 plus negative 8 is negative 9, and we need negative 6. So it has to be 2 and 4. Good? Now let's do opposite signs. X minus 2, x plus 3. Okay, so we get x squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6. Tell me if I'm going too fast. So combine these like terms, and I get an x minus 6. Well then, this is what we're given, and we are asked to factor it. So we put our parentheses, we put our x's, and this has to be plus minus, or minus plus, whichever. because this is a -6. A negative times a positive will give us a negative. Now we have to think, is it 1 and 6 or 2 and 3, and which one's positive and which one's negative? Well, when we take those two numbers and we add them together, we should get a +1. So those two numbers have to be 1 apart. So it has to be 2 and 3, not 1 and 6. Then which one's positive and which one's negative? Well, when we add them, we have to get a positive number. That means the positive number has to be bigger. Because 3x minus 2x gives us x. If that was a negative x, then they'd be switched. The 3 would be negative and the 2 would be positive. Let's try it. So we are on the back of the sheet. On the front of the sheet are those directions it's basically everything I just explained. So number 1, we put our parentheses, we put our x's, and now is this plus plus, minus minus, or plus minus? Because the 10 is positive, which tells us that the signs are the same. So that it's either plus plus or minus minus. Well now, which one is it? We have to add them and get a -7x. So what's that going to be? Plus plus or minus minus? If we did plus plus, we'd have to think, all right, what two numbers? When we multiply, we get 10. So we have 1 and 10, or 2 and 5. Anything else? That's it, right? I would end up with a +7. And we need a -7. So that's not going to work. It's got to be minus minus. Now I can put in the 2 and the 5 because -2 times -5 is +10. And -2 plus -5 is -7. Are you with me? Next one. X, plus plus, minus minus, or plus minus? The sign of C tells you if the signs are the same or the signs are opposite. This is a -42. What does that tell you? And they have to be opposite. And you can do minus plus, it's the same thing. So I just put my plus first. Okay, now I need two numbers that when I multiply, I get -42, but when I add them, I get -1. They have to be pretty close together to get -1 when I add them. They have to be 1 apart. So 42. 1 and 42 is definitely not going to work. No matter which one I make positive or negative, I'm not going to get -1 when I add them. 2 and 21. 3 and 3 goes into 4 once. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 3 and 14. These are still not even close together. They're not close enough together. What are two numbers that are really close together that multiply to give me 42? This is where the multiplication times tables come in. Okay, so which one's positive and which one's negative though? When I add them, I need a -1.
7 is negative.
So -7 and +6. Are you with me? It gets easier with practice. It takes a little, we'll get to it. After we get to the 10th one, you guys will be good. Number 3, x. All right, plus plus, minus minus, or plus minus? It's a +48. What does that tell us?
It's the same sign.
Same signs. Good. Now, are they going to be plus plus or minus minus? We have a -19. Minus minus. Now, what two numbers, when I multiply, I get 48, but when I add, I get 19. I mean, they have to be, well, let's start. 1 and 4, it definitely can't be 1 and 48. Those are too big of numbers. All right, what about 2 and 24? 3 and 3 goes into 4 once with 1 left, 16. 3 and 16. 3 plus 16 is 19. So -3 times -16 is +48. And -3 plus -16 is -19. How are we doing?
Good.
Number 4. Plus plus, minus minus, or plus minus?
Plus minus.
Yep. Now, 16. 1 and 16. 2 and 8. So these are opposite signs, and when I add them, I need to get a positive 6. So 2 and 8 are 6 apart. So these are going to work, but which one's positive and which one's negative?
Positive 8, negative 2.
Positive 8, negative 2, because 8 minus 2 is 6. Good? Number 5. Do you guys remember learning this last year?
No.
No.
At all? Nothing? You didn't do
I
this
don't
at all in
remember
Algebra 1?
anything from last year.
So glad we're doing this. All right, x, x. This is clearly plus plus, right? Because they're the 17 and the 60 are both positive, so it's plus plus. All right, 60. What two numbers when I multiply I get 60, but when I add I get 17? I mean, it's definitely not 1 and 60, right? 2 and 30 are too far apart. What two numbers? What about 12 and 12 times 5 is 60? Will that work? Oh wait, yeah, 12 plus 5 is 17. So 12 and 5. Doesn't matter which one you put first. 6. Minus minus. Plus plus. Minus plus.
Minus plus.
Minus plus. This is the last one we're going to do for our video. It's already long enough, 12 minutes. 65. I mean, if I'm doing this in my head, I probably would start with 5 because, I mean, I know 5 goes into 65 because 65 ends in a 5. So 5 goes into 6 one time with 1 left over. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 and 15. 3, and they're, 13. These are 8 apart, aren't they? Yeah. Which one's positive and which one's negative?
13 positive, 5 negative.
Very good. Nice job. All right, we're going to keep going. We're going to get to 10 and then we are done. And I'm going to attach the worksheet for America and for Justin Bieber.